In this video, we'll see how to find factorial of a number. If the number is equal to 3, we have to find the factorial of 3. So, what we'll do, what factorial actually is 3 into 2 into 1. That is, from that number till 1, we'll be multiplying. Starting from n, you have to minus 1 for every step. That is, 3 minus 1 is 2 and multiply that 2. And then you get the product. 3 into 2 is, then from this minus 1, that is 1, and multiply that with 6. So continuously multiplying everything. This actually is finding the number of permutations of arranging a set of numbers, n numbers. So if we have 3 numbers, what are all the possible permutations or combinations available which can be arranged with this number? That's what we are finding as factorial. So if it is 3 factorial means 3 into 2 into 1. 2 factorial is 2 into 1. 5 factorial is 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. There can be a doubt like why are we not multiplying with 0? So basically 0 factorial is equal to 1. Why is it? Because n is equal to 3. We said that it is finding the number of permutations. In how many methods we can represent 3 elements? That is 3 elements in 6 ways. Suppose if we have 2 elements, n is equal to 2. When we find the factorial of 2, it is 2 again. In how many ways we can represent these 2 elements is 2 ways. That is A and B and B and A. This can be a set of A and B and B and A. If you're taking 3 numbers or 3 elements, n is equal to 3 means A, B and C. This is one way. Like this, we get 6 methods of representation, 6 possible ways of representing these 3 elements. So, finding the number of methods of representing these elements, or we call it as permutations, that is called the factorial of a number. So for 0 factorial, what is 0 means nothing. It is an empty set. We can represent empty set in only one way, that is as empty set only. This is the only representation of empty set. It is possible only in one way. That's why 0 factorial is 1. What we have to do is we need a for loop. For from 1 we'll start and we'll end, that is I is equal to 1. I is less than or equal to n, I plus plus. So if n is equal to 3 we'll take. It will go for I is equal to 1, I is equal to 2 and I is equal to 3. After these 3 iterations, this for loop will break. So here for every time what we are finding is, in a fact, this is an integer variable, fact is equal to, what we are doing is fact into this I value. So for multiplying something with I value, this fact should contain some value. So we are giving it as 1 by default. It can be considered as 0 factorial. We are assigning it to fact, or it can be considered as a normal integer which has been assigned to fact. But we are assigning some value, some initial value which can be multiplied with I value, so that the whole value does not change. So for the first iteration, I is equal to 1. So 1 into 1 is 1. For the second iteration, fact is 1 and I value is 2. So it is 2. Third iteration, fact is 2 and I value is 3. It will be 6. So this is the final factorial value. In C program, what we are doing is we are declaring an I variable for loop, and fact is equal to 1 as that particular factorial integer value, and n is a number which we are going to get from the user. Then printf scan of normal statements, and then we have to find the we have to write the logic for finding the factorial of that particular number. So in for loop, I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to n. From 1 till that particular value, we will be iterating. Fact is equal to fact into I. So this is the main formula for finding the factorial, and then we are printing the factorial value. Now we'll run this. So when entering 5, it is 120, because 5 into 4 is 20. 20 into 3 into 2 into 1, that is 120. If we give 3 factorial, it is 6. 3 into 2 is 6. 3 into 2 into 1 basically. We'll check for 0 factorial. It is 1. For 0 factorial, what it will happen is, it won't enter the loop, because 1 is not less than or equal to n, right? It is greater than, 1 is greater than n value. So it won't enter the loop, because we have entered fact is equal to 1 already. We have initialized fact value as 1. That will be printed as the final factorial value. That's what it happens for 0 factorial. Now if we check for Java, we are declaring a scanner class objects, and we are getting the value from the user as sc.nextInt, and fact also we have assigned it as 1. Now we need for loop and the same formula. Fact is equal to fact star. If we execute this, we have to enter the value here 5. So it comes as 120. Then for 0, it is 1. 12 factorial is such a big number. 7 factorial is 5040. So it goes on like that. So it works fine. We can do this in another method, that is, instead of finding in the main function itself, we are calling it by recursion. So if it is a bigger value or larger value, we can call it by recursion. Here what we are doing is fact is equal to factorial of n. Factorial is nothing but this function, we are calling it there. In this function, okay, we are returning integer value. So public static int, if n is greater than or equal to 1 means we'll find the factorial of that particular number. If n is less than 1 means we'll return 1, because for 0 factorial it should be 1. That's why we are, for that particular condition alone, returning it as 1. So here how we are calling it by recursion is return n into factorial of n minus 1. So this is the formula for recursion. Here what we are doing is, let's take n is equal to 3. So if n is 3, we'll be returning 3 into fact of 3 minus 1, that is 2. So 3 into fact of 2. Again 3 into fact of 2 will be 3 into 2 into fact of 1. So 3 into 2 is 6, and fact of 1, when we return that value, it will be equal to 1. So like that, in a recursive way, this function is calling it itself. Now if we run this, we'll get 5. Yeah, it is working fine. So the same can be applied in C program also. The same thing, creating a new function and returning it by recursion.